Hi everyone, welcome to this episode. I am going to have a conversation with one of my classmates from 83 batch, Mr. JEYASH. Welcome, JEYASH.
Thank you, Cherian. I know you are a very busy man, so thank you for taking the time out and coming and having this conversation with me.
Welcome. It's always a pleasure meeting you, JEYASH. JEYASH, can you share a little bit about your childhood days, your memories from that time period?
Of course, I do. When I was born, my father was working in Saudi Arabia. My mother was a teacher in government service. And around the time I was around 1 year old, my mom and I moved to Saudi Arabia to be with my father. And 4 years later, my sister was born. And Saudi Arabia in those days were very different to the Middle East that we know today. Used to live in Dammam, and it was a much smaller place, a small town. My father used to work in a printing press very near where we used to stay. So one of my striking memories is every day evening, standing outside waiting for my father to come back from his work. And we didn't have access to good English medium schools then. So my mother did a lot of this initial schooling, homeschooling. And she was a very strict teacher. And I think she laid the foundation for our education.
And then, how long did you stay in Saudi Arabia?
I lived with my parents in Saudi Arabia till I turned 6. And like I said, there were not good English medium schools there, so I moved back to India and I lived with my grandmother and my mother's sister. And like a lot of kids in my generation, I spent the school days in India and then go during the holidays to visit my parents.
Your parents. Which city in Saudi Arabia?
Dammam.
Dammam.
We were in Dammam.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Dammam is a very nice place.
Yes, yes. I haven't been there for a long time, so I wouldn't know how it
Yeah.
is now. But like I said earlier, it was a very small place in
Yes,
those years.
Jiyash, after your initial period in Saudi Arabia, where did you do your schooling?
I started at a Seventh Day Adventist High School in Tiruvalla, and I spent the first till seventh standard. I studied there, and at that time, I have got a lot of relatives in Changanasheri. My mother's sister lives in Changanasheri, and SH had such a great reputation at that time as one of the best schools in the central Travancore. And then my parents decided to admit me into SH, and that's how I came and joined you guys
Okay.
for schooling.
Were you a day scholar or a boarder?
I started as a day scholar. I was a day scholar for around a year. And then I did some mischief. And one fine morning, our headmaster, Father Roger Varghese Sachan, to all of us, he called me into his room and said, "Jiyash, where were you yesterday at this time?" And I gave him some story. And he said, "Are you sure?" I said, "I am sure." And he said, "Go back, think about it, and come back to me." And for a couple of days, I didn't hear from him, and I thought it has gone away. And in 2 days' time, he called me again and said, "No, have you thought about it?" I said, "Yes, yes, that's what I did." And then he started dropping enough hints to let me know that he knows. Then I knew I had to admit to it, and I said, "Father, I'm very sorry. I did this and this, and my head was spinning. It was a gross indiscipline by SH standards."
Yeah.
But what he did next really surprised me. He said, "No, that was bad. You should not have done it, and I'm sure you won't do it again. But I am very happy that you told me the truth." And then he gave me a sort of advice on the importance of integrity, doing the right thing when people are not looking. And I would say that had a very lasting impact on me. And from then onwards, throughout my life, I always tried to keep that integrity. And today in our business, it is one of our core values: integrity and doing the right things for customers and everyone. That's part of our corporate culture. And I think that conversation with Varghese Sachan all those years back has carried on throughout my life, even today to our business.
You mean to say that it had a huge impact on you?
Absolutely, it had a very very huge impact.
Do you remember any of your teachers during those days?
Of course, we had a lot of wonderful teachers. Kandatil sir, when he taught history, the exuberance with which he taught the class, his anecdotes, storytelling skills.
yeah.
It brought history to life. And I started a liking for history because of the way he taught history. Then we have got Nalathuvel Lachan.
Yes, yes.
He used curriculum only as a guideline.
Yes.
He was not afraid to go outside of that curriculum and to discuss everything under the sun. Then we had the grand old man, Illimutil sir, that affectionate, grandfatherly way he taught us. Contrast that with Kurian sir, where it was terror and I dreaded his classes. But he instilled the the language skills in us, how to use grammar, Malayalam grammar, small mistakes he used to make, and also pronunciation. For kids coming from Central Travancore, he taught us the difference between Bharadam and Bharadam. so these are all very very memorable teachers. And Father Oja Varghese Achan probably had the biggest impact on me.
What were your favorite subjects during those days?
I would say it was geography.
Geography?
Yes. And I always enjoyed the geography classes, and Father Nalathuvelil made it even more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I remember your vivid image in my mind from those days is of you wearing a boot and playing football.
Yes. I think I don't know. I was supposed to be a good football player, and I enjoyed football. And I think I started playing basketball when I came to SH. Before that, in previous school, there was no basketball. But yeah, that small period of time we used to get in the boarding. Playing, that probably was something I always look forward to. The sports and games.
So when you were joining Sacred Heart, you started as a day scholar. So when did you become a hostler?
It is during the next year, 9th standard, I became a hostler, and it was also a transformative experience for me because that's the first time I am staying away from home. I developed a deep-rooted friendships with a lot of people during that time, and my experience in the boarding was slightly different from everyone else. I was the only Muslim boy in a predominantly Catholic boarding school. And evening, just before dinner, there was this period of time when everyone was supposed to pray. And the Catholic boys would be standing up doing their prayer. The rest of us are supposed to sit down and do our own prayers. And I thought that was a good opportunity for me to maybe read my comics and storybooks. And one evening, Father Oja Varghese comes around and asks me, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm reading a comic. He said, "That's not what you're supposed to do. Why are you not reading a Quran?" I said, "I'm not very fluent in Arabic, and this is what I'm doing." He went away. He called me a couple of days later and said, "There are English translation of Quran. And next time you go home, get one. If you're not able to get one, tell me, I'll buy you one." And he used to make sure that I read it. He'll come around and ensure that I read that English translation of Quran. And at that time, I thought of it as he intruding into a nice time I could have. But it took some time for me to realize the enormity of what he was doing.
True.
Here is a Christian priest, a deeply religious man, devoted to his faith, asking a Muslim boy, or not giving him just the space, but ensuring he is
utilizing it
properly and reading my scripture. And again, that's another great lesson I learned from Varghese Achan, and the importance of looking at different people, coming from different faiths or cultures or background, and to keep your religion or your whatever it is private, and to see people for what they are. And again, that is something that has influenced me throughout the life when it comes to friendships of business. It's all these are all private things, and and it's also from this deep-rooted belief that at times I come to our school groups and fight to keep religion out of the conversation or our conversations.
True, very true. Do you have any memories from your boarding experience?
Father Roger Vargas was the warden, but uh, Kandathil sir used to run the day-to-day affairs, and he has got this big personality and his own unique style of functioning. And we have got this long study periods. No, you need to be in the study hall. You should not be distracted. And every now and then he will come from the back, walk towards the front, and noting down everything that's happening. And when he comes back, he'll say, you, and you, follow me. So that effectively means you'll have to go to him with your diary. So you will get a couple of banks for beatings for the mischief you have done, and then he notes down in the diary. Maybe it goes like found eating peanuts in the study hall,
Oh, okay.
or it could be found sleeping in the study hall, and then you will have to go and get a signature for that from Vargisachan.
Vargisachan.
He will give his own his own punishments for that. So yeah, it was hard. I found boarding to be extremely strict, especially coming from a school which was a little more liberal. But looking back, it is all
It was
fond
important.
memories. Fond memories. Yeah.
Do you think those were important transforming time periods in your life?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. It is. I even now I think it was a bit too strict for my personal liking, but yes, yes. No.
It has impacted in creating some great values in you as a person who you are today?
Certainly, it did.
Okay, great, wonderful. What about your friends? Do you have any memories about any of your friends who used to be with you at that time?
Yeah, yeah, a lot of memories. Chachapan or James Matthew
James Matthew.
was the central character in boarding, and no, he ensured that when I went and joined boarding, that I am comfortable, I fit in and get along with everyone, introducing to everyone. Then you have got Nainan Varghese with his own, what you call humor and style.
Yeah.
All of them. I'm pretty close with all of them.
Do you remember anything about our 10th batch? Any experience from those days which is still in your memory?
Of course, we were the golden batch, and to get 100% first class and also the state first rank, it is a tremendous achievement. And I think probably that's the first time in Kerala that any school had achieved that. So we will always remain that golden batch, and
Yes.
also Rajanarayana Swami's first rank. It brought that special element to that results. Yeah.
Jash, do you remember anything about your own performance in 10th grade? How good were you in ultimately when the results came out? Did you perform as much as you expected?
I think I did fairly well. I scored close to 80% marks. But during pre-degree, the performance came down because I was distracted too much and I didn't spend the quality time that I should have spent on my studies. But school results were fairly good.
Oh, wonderful. After 10th, I went to St. Berkman's SB College, and I don't remember meeting you there.
Yeah, my father thought that it will be best for me to do my pre-degree in Tiruvalla, because then they have got visibility on what I'm doing. And like all parents in our generation, they wanted me to pursue a career in medicine. But I never thought that was a great idea because I was never comfortable in a hospital environment. I get stressed when I go there. But anyway, he insisted that I do second group, biology, chemistry, and physics, and in 2 years' time, I can decide what I want to do. At the end of that 2 years, I was still convinced I don't want to pursue that path, and then went and joined for BA literature. And around 6 months down the line, I realized I'm not enjoying it, and a lot of my friends were going for engineering at that point of time. And then I did the third option, where I could take the 2 years of mathematics together, and then I went for engineering.
Oh, where did you study engineering?
I went and joined MSRIT, MS Rama Institute of Technology in Bangalore.
Bangalore. Okay. Can you share your experience in engineering college?
Yeah. The first issue I had was I was not sure which branch to take because I had no clue. So what my father did was he introduced me to his engineer friends and said, okay, you go and talk to them and then find out what would be the best option. So I went around to different people working in different industries. And invariably, what happened is a civil engineer would sell you the idea of civil engineering, mechanical engineer would tell you, the advantages and disadvantages of going down that route. And finally, I met this very young engineer, and he asked me, just really, what do you want to do with your life? What's your aspiration? And then I told him I wanted to be an entrepreneur. At some point in my life, I want to start a business. I have seen my father start a business and under very trying circumstances, make a success of it. So from that day, I wanted to start my own business. So he thought about it and said, if you want to start a business at some point, then I would give you two choices. Either you choose chemical engineering or you choose computer science. And the reasoning he gave was for these two branches, two industries, you can start a business with very little investment. You know, you can buy some chemicals, mix it together, and you can start a business. And
Yeah.
this was in 1986. At that time, he said, computer is getting adopted across India, and there would be a lot of scope for software development, and you would be able to get a computer yourself and then start programming and make a living out of it. And that was prophetic. No, that was probably the best advice I have ever got in my life. And then I weighed the two, and I decided to go and pursue my engineering in computer science. And Ramaya was a very different experience because I have been in a boarding school, very strict environment. Then I was a day scholar going to pre-degree from home. Then you go to an engineering college as a 17, 18-year-old. And Ramaya, what used to happen is we had a very small hostel. So a lot of kids were taking their own houses outside the campus and living. So I lived with a group of friends independently in a house, and with all the freedom that you get. But that gives you a lot of life lessons, to
Yeah.
on self-discipline and
Yeah.
things like that. And I had it's a Bangalore of the bygone era. The 80s Bangalore was a wonderful city, so
Yeah.
I enjoyed my studies and also my life in Bangalore.
Jayash, what did you do after engineering?
At the time I passed out from engineering, the job market was very different to what it is today. It was not easy to find a job, especially for an engineering graduate from a private engineering college. But luckily for me, a family friend knew there was an opening in a small software firm in Bangalore, and there were the distributors for Tally. Tally today it's a very well-known brand, but that was their initial years. And I joined this very small firm with around two people. And around 3 months after I joined, one of them left to go to the US. So I was almost thrown into the deep end. And then I had to work these long hours to fulfill customer requirements. And that was the period I knew I am a fairly good programmer, and it's something that I enjoyed. I worked there for around a year, and at that time, there was this new joint venture that was being formed between British Aerospace and HAL. And they were looking for software engineers. I applied, I got selected, and I joined them. And then I got trained in mainframe technologies. And in those days, mainframe had a huge demand, especially from the Western countries. And I worked with them for around 2 years. Then a Delhi-based company called IIS Infotech, they recruited me and sent me to the UK. And I spent almost 8 years working there. I was initially working with IIS, then I joined IBM. I was with IBM for a few years, and then I went independent. I was working as an independent consultant, and then at all points in my career, I was looking to propel myself to a stage where I can start my own business, because that has been my aspiration all along. And in 2002, I took the plunge and started ZERON Consulting along with my partner, who is also my brother-in-law and his brother. And yeah, that's how I started my business.
Jayash, can you share with us about your parents?
All parents of our generation, I think they lived for their kids. Their main motivation was to help the kids to get a good start to their lives, and my parents were no different. And they always instilled in me a lot of confidence. They always told me that I'm special. You are very capable. You can achieve anything that you want. And irrespective whether it was true or not, that confidence I was able to gain, and that helped me enormously in my life. And they were loving parents for both me and my sister. And that, yeah, but unfortunately I lost both of them over the last 3 years. I lost my father 3 years back, and my mother passed away around 3-4 months back.
Okay. Jeyash, tell me about your own family.
I'm married to Ansi. Ansi runs an organization called Imutsa. It is a creative space for people to learn alternative skills, and it also has got a wider motivation to help people with special needs to come and integrate with others, and help them to communicate, and so on and so forth. My daughter Fazana, she is in the advertising industry. She did her BBA in liberal arts. She's married to Nabil Ahmed. He works in the US in the IT industry, and they live in Chicago. My son finished his 18th birthday and his plus two just before the COVID hit. And his learning requirements, we felt, is better met by an offline environment. So we have deferred his graduate studies for now, and he plans to do graphic design. And my youngest daughter, Fasnam, she is in 8th standard and she studies in the choice school.
Jeyash, during our school days, I remember we didn't have much career options. Medicine, engineering, law, these were the only options which was talked about. But in today's world has changed a lot. Today's students have a lot of career options. Could you please share a little bit about what career options they have today, and what should they do in order to choose the right career?
Great question. I think it's very important they choose the right career for them, not necessarily what is trending at that point of time. Now, I think I would say there are three factors. One is, what is the kid good at? That's one important factor. What does he enjoy doing? That's another important factor. And the third is, what are the careers that are going to propel them into the future? You have to live in different times, and at every point there are certain industries which are doing well, certain types of jobs which are doing well. So that is also important. So it's all about finding that balance between all the three. Let me take the example of football. A kid might be passionate about football, and he may even be very good at football. But what are the chances of him striking it into the Indian team? So you'll also have to consider the market realities. So it's all about finding, like I said, the balance between the three, and finding something that you're good at, enjoy doing, and also which has got a job market to accommodate you. So these are all very important things. Then also we tend to make a lot of assumptions. For instance, when it comes to career, someone might think that I would love to be a journalist. I thought I would enjoy being a journalist. But the moment I joined BA Literature, I realized this is not for me. It is I enjoy reading a novel, which is very different to going and learning literature and maybe doing a career in journalism. So I would strongly recommend that everyone go and do internships. If someone wants to be a journalist, spend a couple of months working in a newspaper and what really happens there. For instance, my daughter's first choice was journalism. So through a friend, I arranged for her to go and work in a publication. And 2 months down the line, she realized it is not what she thought the career would be like. And then she made a shift in her thinking. So going and doing internships, trying out stuff, all these things are very important. And another aspect is, our parents probably did the same three things throughout their lives. When we came to us, a lot of disruptions happened, and these disruptions are accelerating. Now, every few years, the things are changing, the way people operate, it's changing. So the ability to keep learning, to have that continuous learning is very important. So it's not about learning some stuff and using it. It is the ability to learn, learning to learn. That is absolutely necessary, and that's a skill that everyone needs to develop.
You being part of the IT industry, could you please share with us what are the career options available in the IT industry?
in IT. Absolutely. I have been in the IT industry for the last 30 years, and every so often IT industry is being written off, saying that probably it's not the career to pursue. But what we have learned so far is uh, IT is an integral part of our lives of business, and I believe that it's going to continue for many years to come. Now, coming to IT, a job option in IT, very often people think of just programming. And programming, to take up a software development sort of role, one has to have the aptitude on logic, problem solving, and so on and so forth. But IT industry is not confined to just programming. There are so many other aspects. You need people with business knowledge, people who can understand a domain. So there is opportunities for people to pursue different careers and come and converge into IT, and they bring a lot of value to the IT industry. Now, one of the most promising area is AI, data analytics, data science, and it's going to be there for many years to come. But then what happens is IT is an area where a lot of disruption happens. So it's not about having a skill set and coming and having a career for the rest of your life. For someone coming into IT, and for that matter, any industry, the ability to adapt to the changing environment is very, very important. Adaptability is key. Agility is important. Then the ability to communicate, very important. That is, I think, one area where our educational institutions have to spend a lot more effort. Ability to communicate, to work as a team, to engage with a person, to work across cultures, because today's work environment is everyone is connected across the world. So your ability to be sensitive to different cultures, people coming from different backgrounds, and to the ability to work with them is very important. So these are some of the things you need to look out for.
Okay, wonderful. Jayesh, you are a successful entrepreneur. Can you please advise our viewers what should one do to become successful as an entrepreneur?
I would say the first question that one needs to ask oneself is, are you really cut out to be an entrepreneur? It is not for everyone. Now, when we were kids, starting a business were always frowned upon, but now it is celebrated. Now there's this culture of startups. Everyone wants to have a startup, make it a unicorn, make a lot of money. But I would say it's not for everyone. There are, you need to have a certain type of temperament to be successful as an entrepreneur. And the ability to build a team and to create a team which can and build that company is very important. The ability to create a culture, a very positive culture with very strong core values, that is something else that you need to have. Perseverance. It is never going to be easy. Most of the times you start something thinking this is the way it's going to go, and once you go to the market you realize it's not working. You need to do a pivot a number of times and navigate through the challenges. So perseverance is absolutely necessary, and also to have the judgment to decide whether this is working or not. You need to be action oriented rather than theoretically, analytically thinking what can and what won't work, to actually go to the market and test out your ideas. And you might fail. If you are failing, you need to make that call and saying this is not working. Let me stop it. Let me try something else. So that agility is very important. These are some of the factors that you need, and also the ability to continuously innovate, especially in the new age we are living in, to keep pace with the technological disruptions that are happening. These are all factors that is important as far as I can think. But then there are all the other things that any professional, all the other skills any professional needs. So these are some of the things.
Jayesh, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you travel a lot. How has your travel experiences contributed to your success as an entrepreneur?
Certainly, travel helps you a lot. It helps you to challenge your beliefs and your mental models, because you feel this is the way things are. No, this is how everything should be. But when you travel across the world and you experience other cultures, other ways of doing things, it certainly triggers your thoughts, and it does help in expanding your thinking and your mindset. Yes, certainly.
Wonderful, wonderful. Jesh, do you have any role models in life?
My role model is my father, because he came from a very humble background. Through grit and determination, built a good career. He could speak 5 languages. He built a very successful business, then retired. Then he had a rubber estate which he ran for almost 25 years. And he was always helpful to people, very pleasant. I have never seen him lose his temper. And he passed away 3 years back. He had dementia, and even that's a very difficult condition where he is losing his memory over a long period of time. It's a very long goodbye. And even during those difficult days, even when he was bedridden, he never, that grit for life, that zest for life, it never left him, and he's always happy, pleasant. And he is a wonderful role model, and I always struggle to live up to the very high standards that he set.
How do you spend your free time? What do you do?
I picked up golf around 6 years back, so I play almost 4 times a week nowadays. I play during the weekend, and I try to play 2 days during the week, and that is something that I thoroughly enjoy. I was able to build a network of friends, golfing friends, so we spend some quality time together. I also took to sailing a few years back. One of my friends introduced me to sailing, and there's a sailing club in Panangat. But unfortunately, with golf, I'm not getting the time to pursue that interest. Then I'm also part of my Rotary Club of batchmates. Both Tommy and Sebastian are part of that club, and we do a lot of social activities, and also it has given me the opportunity to build a lot of very enduring friendships. So these are the activities on which I spend my leisure time.
Okay, wonderful. Jesh, do you want to share any key life lessons with the audience from your life?
We live in the social media age where we are all bombarded with life lessons. So I don't want to go in deep into any lessons that I have learned. But one thing I would like to share is life is not really a destination, it's about the journey. And it is very important that we take time out to spend with our family, pursue your interests. It is not something we should leave for a later date. On a daily basis, if we can find that time to pursue our interests and whatever we want to do, that I think would be good.
Thank you, Jesh, for your time. It was inspiring, motivating, and I'm sure this conversation will help inspire a lot of our viewers to become successful entrepreneurs like you.
Thank you, Cherian, for taking this effort to do this series. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
For our viewers, I hope you enjoyed this engagement with JEYASH. I hope it will help you in many ways in your life. Thank you for watching.